you just go like, where do you want to live? I would live in Denver.
The homeless thing's out of control there, though.
In Denver?
Yeah, they have a very liberal mayor, and they're nuts.
What did we do with them here?
We killed
when
them.
I got. Did we throw them in the river?
No, the river's not going to get polluted by homeless people. Maybe we should just go and shoot the homeless people.
I like your ideas.
Yeah.
Guys, relax. It's just a bit, right? I mean, Rogan's the down-to-earth man's man podcaster who tells it like it is and worked hard for what he's got. It's the mindset, you see. Some people just have it and others don't. Like homeless people, for example. If they just change the way they think and become more agreeable, they might find themselves getting back on track like the rest of us. Or maybe it's all the soda that poor people drink. Maybe that's what's keeping them poor. So, stop drinking soda and drink more water. That's the ticket. No, wait. I've got a better one. The government needs to put tariffs on processed food so it's more expensive than fresh produce, and that way poor people will be forced to eat healthy and lift themselves out of poverty. Maybe start a podcast, buy an ice bath, jump in the sauna, get on the TRT or HGH, and buy a bow and arrow. Hey, now we're getting somewhere. Oh man, I've been waiting to make this video for so long, and here we are. I've got so much for you guys, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, because there are a few things I've noticed over the years listening to JRE. Joe's obsessed with aliens, bears, excessive drinking, jiu-jitsu, Vikings, the pyramids, conspiracy theories, stand-up comedy, hunting, only reading the titles of articles, and of course, homeless people. Every time Joe talks about the homeless, my ears prick up and I wait for him to just edge past that line between healthy conversation and unhealthy obsession. And to his own detriment, he has thousands of hours of his thoughts on the record for the world to listen to and decipher his true feelings. Now, obviously, if any of us were to publish thousands of hours of our own conversations, there would be inevitably patterns and themes. That's just how we're all wired. Humans are walking contradictions full of hypocrisy and deep, dark desires. So when Rogan and his buddies constantly talk about homeless people like they're animals, it sort of makes you wonder, why does Joe hate poor people so much? And remember, compared to the average person, Rogan would have almost no interaction with homeless people whatsoever. But the way he talks about them, you'd think they were camping out on his front lawn.
Since Starbucks got in trouble for being racist, there's a lot more homeless people at Starbucks. Like, they understand now. They could just go there.
The sun was awesome, right? I was like, oh my gosh, sun.
No gray skies.
And then I looked down, literally homeless people everywhere. What is going on with that? Like, it blew my mind.
And I'm watching the fight happen, and then, San Francisco, right outside, I see two homeless guys fighting, like legitimately fighting. And it was kind of one of those things where I swear to God, even though amazing fighters that Paul and Fury, the fight outside was so much more entertaining.
I remember filming Fear Factor in downtown LA in like 2003 or something like that. It was crazy back then. I was like, this is wild. There's so many homeless people down there.
It is insane. The amount of, tent cities everywhere you look.
Insane.
Everywhere you look. And it's just like, what the hell?
Yeah. Hundreds of millions of dollars get spent on the homeless.
And thank you for your contribution to that.
But you know
rich
where
man.
it goes to? It goes to the salaries of people working on the homeless.
Oh.
But they get free electricity there. And so he's got like a bag of his stuff. Like, he's got a little camp in the corner of the Starbucks. I'm like, wow. I want him to get back up on his feet. Maybe this is the way to do it. Maybe it's through that iPad. On the other hand, I'm like, hey, don't give me a disease, you
The weather's awesome, but like that was a big thing. And I feel like as I'm walking around more, if I see a large standing body of water, I'm like, there's a homeless guy living there too. There are people just everywhere.
They're everywhere. San Francisco's the worst. San Francisco is like a failed state. San Francisco might as well be Libya. That place is wild.
Yeah.
People are just shitting in the streets.
Venice is, I think they did something where you can't loiter or litter or something. So now the homeless people are like cleaning. It's like cleaner.
What the fuck
Or
ever.
they can arrest them. So
you
now
can't camp. How about that? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And you know what's weird? You know what I noticed the other day?
Yeah, those people should just go to a park that has those grills.
Right.
Like Griffith Park is not far.
Right. Griffith Park is like people with homes cook there.
Yeah, they got free grills.
Yeah.
This is LA. People can't even afford to live in LA.
I know. It might as well be a third world country, though. I mean, it might as well be the apocalypse. Some sort of like comprehensive program to try to help people that are f***ed up like that and clean them up. and it would probably have to involve psychedelic drugs.
Yeah, that's what I think that you probably because it's not a money thing, right? People, they have money to. It's not a cure. It's not a financial cure. It's these people.
That
their
are
mindset.
just so...
My mother always instilled in me, like, always buy homeless people food. If you see them, buy them food, and so that's just what I automatically do. And I bought him ice cream. And you know what this guy says to me? Granted, he just want to fight, but I came out with chocolate ice cream. He goes, I don't like chocolate. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Well, that's probably why he's homeless.
Seriously, right? Because of the ego and like
disagreeableness.
Hey, there we go. It didn't take long for the rich man's mindset to rear its ugly head. And as I was putting that edit together, something in particular caught my attention. It was when Rogan said at the end there, the reason why he's probably homeless is because he's disagreeable. Now, being the avid JRE listener that I am, I immediately thought about free speech hero and professional Karen, Dr. Jordan Peterson's teachings on agreeability.
So agreeable people are compassionate and polite. What are disagreeable people like? They're tough-minded, they're blunt, they're competitive, and they won't do a thing they don't want to do. So it isn't exactly that they're aggressive, although they will push you the hell out of their way if you're in the way. They're not like volatile like you are if you're high in neuroticism. It isn't defensive aggression. It's more like predatory aggression. It's dominance behavior. And so for someone who's highly disagreeable, they look at the world as a place in which they can compete and win. If you ask a disagreeable person what he wants, say, or she wants, they'll tell you right away. They know. It's like, this is what I want and this is how I'm going to get it. But agreeable people, especially if they're really agreeable, are so agreeable that they often don't even know what they want, because they're so accustomed to living for other people and to finding out what other people want and to trying to make them comfortable and so forth, that it's harder for them to find a sense of their own desires as they move through life. And that's not, look, there's situations where that's advantageous, but it's certainly not advantageous if you're going to try to forge yourself a career. That just doesn't work at all.
But I came out with chocolate ice cream. He goes, I don't like chocolate. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Well, that's probably why he's homeless.
Seriously, right? Because of the ego and like
disagreeableness.
Yes, so I went and got him vanilla, and he ate the vanilla.
Oh, you did that. That's good for you.
So clearly Chrissy D is just talking smack. I mean, I doubt that story even happened, but that's what Rogan does, right? He can't tell when his buddies are just having a laugh, and he tries to throw in some pseudo-intellectual take into Chrissy's bit, and it just makes it all awkward. Seriously, the best is when Tim Dillon or Theo Von go on JRE. In a 3-hour conversation, they probably say 2 serious sentences, and it's probably them asking for a drink or permission to go to the bathroom. The rest is just joke after joke hitting Joe's thick head like arrows bouncing off a Cybertruck. And so Rogan's an expert when it comes to understanding poor people and their struggles. It's just because they're disagreeable. That's so insightful. If you're rich and successful, it's because you're disagreeable and highly discerning, whereas if you're poor, it's also because you're disagreeable and highly discerning. So the moral of the story is, okay, I don't know what the moral of the story is. I heard it both ways be. But one of the darker conversations Rogan had about the homeless was with none other than Tom Segura. Now, we all know how Tom feels about poor people, more on that towards the end. However, this conversation actually made headlines across snowflake media in what they were hoping was a gotcha moment, except it wasn't.
You used to go like, where do you want to live?
Mm-hmm.
I would live in Denver.
The thing about Denver is there's comedy.
Yeah.
And there's mountains. I mean, it's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. You get
People are cool.
Proper 4 seasons, like you get to experience it all.
Great restaurants.
It's a really nice mix of everything.
The homeless thing's out of control there, though.
In Denver?
Yeah, they have a very liberal mayor, and they're nuts.
What did we do with them here?
We killed
them. Did we throw them in the river?
No, the river's not going to get polluted by homeless people.
But there was a camp set up in Brentwood, which I was like, wow, this feels like a real indication of the extreme level of this.
Yeah.
It's because Brentwood, for somebody that doesn't know, is one of the enclaves of Los Angeles that is like just really high end. It's an elite.
It's where OJ killed his wife.
OJ killed his wife there. Other people have died there. It's a wonderful area. And when you see stuff like that on the streets, at least in Los Angeles or maybe in California, that's protected property.
The homeless person's property is protected?
Yes, absolutely.
Huh.
If you were to go and try to move that or take that,
you'd get arrested.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
But they wouldn't arrest you if you shot somebody. Maybe you should just go and shoot the homeless people.
I like your ideas.
Yeah. And if nobody claims it, I mean, nobody does anything about violent crime in LA anymore. It's a joke.
Yeah.
They're just letting people out.
So clearly, Rogan wasn't being serious, right? He was trying to point out the hypocrisy in California, particularly in San Fran and LA, where they've become much lighter on crime to combat the overrepresentation of minorities in their prisons. But that's an entirely different conversation. What that clip really pointed out for me is the blatant elitism from Joe and his buddies. There's nothing like two cigar-smoking millionaires complaining about homeless people, even if they're only joking. Remember, whenever you get offended by a comedian, just relax. It's just a bit. They don't seriously hate poor people, right? I mean, it's not like they talk about it all the time. But what if you're fat and poor? Hey, there we go. Now you're in Rogan's crosshairs for sure. When Aaron Rodgers was on JRE recently, they got talking about Ozempic, the new miracle weight loss drug that burns your bits off. Just ask Bert Kreischer. And because Rogan's the type of guy who lives fully naturally without any supplements, PEDs, or processed substances, he gave us all a tutorial on how to get healthy.
You got to get better the same way you got sick. How'd you get sick? You took a bunch of bad food. Here's how you get better. Eat only good food. So you have to have less calories in than you're burning. And you got to exercise. And how about start drinking water? Stop drinking soda. We had this chart up yesterday of how many people on food stamps buy soda. Like how much of food stamps is spent on soda. It's crazy. It's like poor people just drinking poison, drinking sugary poison.
There you have it, folks. The solution to all of your poor and fat problems is just to stop drinking soda. You see, rich people don't drink soda. Only poor people on food stamps do. There you go, right there. Scientific evidence of the difference between rich and poor. So how about this chart that Rogan was talking about? Yeah, let's look at the chart.
On this guy that's Tucker Carlson thing, they were saying this scientist that he had on, or this guy that he had on that used to work for the pharmacy, was saying that 10% of all food stamps, the number one thing that people buy with food stamps is soda.
Yeah, it's not a good fact.
Soda's so good.
It's so good.
I really don't drink it ever. But
I don't either, but an ice cold Coca-Cola on ice, like a real Coke.
Burger, fries, Coke.
Oh, it's crazy. Findings show that number one purchased by SNAP households are soft drinks, which accounted for 5% of the dollars they spent on food. Wow. Okay, so this guy was saying it was 10%, but apparently this is saying that it's 5%. It might have changed.
Let it ride, bro.
Yeah.
Why would I drink water right now?
Because you want to get out of there. You don't want to be on food stamps forever. Drink water. It's cheaper.
You know a good way to get off food stamps?
Eat food, but get a job.
No.
What?
Ascend to the next life.
Yeah. Oh, that's it? That's the only way?
No.
Jesus.
I'm just saying.
I was on food stamps when I was
Crush soda. Call it a day.
To be fair, it's also the top purchase of non-SNAP households also.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, there we go.
What's his, milk is number one? Oh, no, soft drinks.
Well,
SNAP households, so it's more with the people that are on food stamps than it is with people who aren't, which is interesting.
Oh,
quite a bit more.
4% to 5%.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're taking
more than
Oh man, talk about confirmation bias. How's that little narrative you've got going there, Joe? Jesus, Jamie, way to ruin the moment with your stupid facts.
Jamie's wrong all the time with this stuff because he only Googles these lefty, liberal fake news sites.
Easy, Joe, chill, dude. It's just a bit. Relax. The best part is how he brings it up the next day and keeps perpetuating his little narrative even after Jamie explained the difference between SNAP and non-SNAP households was almost negligible. Never let the truth get in the way of a good story. But as always, it got worse. Much, much worse. There's nothing I enjoy more than seeing people from both the left and the right get famous by pushing a particular narrative only to completely contradict themselves by calling for exactly what they've been criticizing the whole time. See, you've got to listen carefully, otherwise you might miss it.
But the food that's actually the best for you oftentimes is the most expensive.
Yeah.
So you have to find a way to, whether it's doing all out, tariffs on certain, extra taxes on certain types of product. But the problem is that in order to eat healthier, you have to spend more money because the food is the least expensive.
What scares the shit out of me is what they're doing to farmers in Europe.
Ah, there we go. It's the old government intervention when it's something I agree with contradiction.
Doing all out, tariffs on certain, extra taxes on certain types of product.
Let's just get this straight, right? Hands off our guns, no mandates, no lockdowns, no forced jabs. But when it comes to processed foods, yeah, we got to tax that to incentivize the poor people to eat healthy. And what better way to do it? Let's make the food that they eat more expensive, because that way everything will be more expensive, so they'll decide to eat healthier foods. How good is government-induced inflation? Way to make the poor people homeless, dude. Great idea. But hey, did I mention it got worse?
There was a point where there wasn't technology.
Yeah.
Right? And as it starts to filter in, you have decisions to be made on which direction to go. And we seemed to take all of our technology into the form of business and profits.
Mm-hmm.
What about a society that would take it in a different direction, but like a society that isn't driven strictly on profits and advancement?
The problem is innovation requires dedication and ambition. And oftentimes dedication and ambition is driven by profits.
I understand. And competition it's always been a part of things. Was there other societies that they weren't strictly motivated by profits and, advancement and competition in the form of division that actually figured this shit out?
Bro, you've earned over $300 million from your NFL career, which is entirely driven by profits. What are you talking about? Oh man, this guy, seriously. I should probably also add, I don't necessarily disagree with a lot of the things both Joe and Rodgers were saying, except for the obvious ones that I've been pointing out. I'm not a political guy, I don't lean one way or the other. Like I said earlier, it's the hypocrisy and inconsistency in their approach to things they disagree with versus the things they agree with that gets under my skin. Or maybe not even that, I just think it's funny. And Joe has these types of conversations with his buddies all the time. They'll sit there in his ivory lockdown fortress in Austin and spew these empty platitudes about the difference between the poor person's mindset and the successful guy's grindset. Remember The Rock's recent appearance on JRE? Alright, so let's play a little game here. I'm going to pin the first comment that actually explains what they're talking about in this next clip. Seriously, I've watched this clip like a bunch of times now, and I still can't figure out exactly what the message is. Something about having fun with vibrating butterflies?
There's a lot of people out there who are just busting their and unhappy. You and I were both in that place at one time. We were like, I don't like the position I'm in. I want more. I want something more. But this idea of, but I'm going to try and enjoy it. But man, that time when it switched in my mind, like, like exactly what you're saying. Let me enjoy this now. Because I've worked hard to get here, wherever this thing is, just like everybody else. But this idea, like, let's have fun while we're doing it along the way. And you're right. It has that butterfly effect. It affects other people and it attracts other people. Before you know it, everybody's vibrating at this great place with enthusiasm and excitement and fun.
Yeah, I've got nothing. And if you recall my video covering this episode at the time it came out, I mentioned how Rogan got caught up in the moment and went into his Hollywood elitist alter ego. Him and The Rock were exchanging success stories, but there was one bit that really showed Rogan's true colors and just how out of touch he's become after the hundreds of millions of dollars he's earned. When you watch this next clip, think about what he's really saying here, and I'll pick it up with you guys straight after.
I realized when I was young, I got a development deal for Disney when I was, I think I was 25, 26. And I got this development deal, and all of a sudden they gave me like, I think it was like $100,000. And I had money in the bank. I was like, this is crazy. I was like 26, I think. And it was a development deal for a television show. And all of a sudden I had money. Like my whole life I was poor. And my whole life I was like wondering how I was going to, when I was on my own. And it was like, how am I paying the bills? How am I eating? But then the moment I got that check, I remember feeling light. Now I didn't have to worry about my rent. Now I didn't have to worry about food. And I remember thinking immediately, oh, this is the key. Get to a place where you're not worried about your bills. If that means like spend less money, if that means like live a more prudent lifestyle, whatever you have to do. But get to that place where you're not worried about bills, because that hanging over your head causes stress that ruins lives. It ruins people. So then I was like, okay, now the most important thing is keep going, because now you know what it's like to be successful. Continue that. Do whatever the you have to do, whatever work you have to put in to continue that. And then when I got to a place where I felt like I have enough money that I feel really secure, then I started to learn how to be happy.
Wow, there you go. You heard it from the horse's mouth. If you want to be happy, don't be poor. And when you do get money, keep making more money, otherwise you'll be stressed and die. Imagine sitting opposite a genetic freak like The Rock and preaching about having the right mindset to get you off the bottom of the ladder. And so let me put this all into perspective for a moment, because I don't want my message to get lost in all of this. I don't think Rogan wants to kill homeless people. I don't think he wants to put them on trains to where or anything like that. What I'm trying to point out here is that Joe clearly has the elitist mindset. Sure, he's a highly driven individual, but most of his success can be attributed to being at the right place at the right time and having the ability to capitalize on those situations. Maybe others in his position would have blown it. Sure, I get that. It all didn't just fall into his lap. I'm definitely a firm believer that you've got to know what to do with the luck that you receive in life. Two people will handle the same situation completely differently. But where Rogan falls apart is where he values people and their opinions less because of their socioeconomic status. That's what I mean by elitist. I don't simply mean he's rich. I mean more specifically that he denies poorer people of their own agency and dignity because they're poor. Listen to the type of language he uses when labeling a commenter on YouTube as a 7-Eleven worker.
It's bad, although they're like a part of the whole YouTube ecosystem, where like if you catch enough bad ones, sometimes you go, maybe I could think about something.
Yeah, maybe I am an asshole.
Yeah, it's like, maybe I'll think about something. Or, I don't know. It's tough because you don't want to be like, nobody can tell me shit. But then sometimes you'll read them and you're like, I don't have to deal with this right now.
The thing is, you don't know who you're talking
my children.
to. You could be talking to the biggest moron that works at 7-Eleven. You could be talking to the biggest moron.
Of course.
And it's just like, you're like, you, that's not true.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's just a waste of time.
So the distinguishing feature he chose was the fact that they worked at 7-Eleven. I mean, that's hypothetical, right? But fine, that's just a passing comment. But what that tells me is that to Joe, your opinion is more valid if you earn more money. So for example, if someone who earns 6 figures made the same comment as the hypothetical 7-Eleven worker, then that would somehow make their opinion more valid to him. And he's forgetting one fundamental factor in his own success. Statistically, most of the people who follow his podcast and listen to him regularly are what would he consider to be poor people. It's just basic math. When you have a large sample size, like 10 million or so regular listeners he gets per episode, statistically there would be more poor people listening than rich, successful people. This is the parasocial nature of Rogan's success that he not only feeds off, but he also preaches to his buddies. How many times have we heard him giving advice to not read comments, forget about what your fans think, just keep grinding and doing your thing? Think about it, right? If you were in his position with 24/7 security, yes men everywhere you go, all the daily mundane tasks getting done for you by the help, would you spend that much time and energy complaining about homeless people? Anyway, that's enough internet for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Big shout out to my regulars. You guys are the best. And if you haven't subscribed yet, consider jumping on board so you get all my uploads in your feed. That's it from me. I'm going to leave you guys now with some words of wisdom from Tom Segura, because nobody quite hates the poor people like Tom does.
Oh, can I just say this real quick?
Yeah.
Every time we talk about like a watch or a car, I'll get a bunch of messages from losers that try to tell me that I'm making them feel bad about their situation. You're in control of your own situation and your own feelings. So don't put it on me that you feel bad that I have something that, but I'm struggling with rent this month. Figure it the out, okay? Like, don't make my life be a problem for your life. If you don't like it, guess what? You're not going to be able to control what people talk about. People are going to talk about things that you don't have for the rest of your life. So you can decide like, okay, I won't, fine, don't listen to me, don't listen to that person anymore, but you have to control your own feelings, okay? It's not on other people to make sure they don't talk about a topic that makes you feel bad, all right? Like, I lost 20 grand gambling this weekend. Go ahead.
you're establishing yourself as powerless.
You absolutely, and you're taking no ownership of your own feelings. Like people have said to me before, this joke you did, it made me feel bad. And I go, no, I didn't do that. And they're like, no, it did. I go, no. You are in charge of your own feelings.
Yeah.
You are. So you can't put it on me that the joke made you feel bad. You feel bad. You chose to feel bad. It's not my responsibility to control how you feel.
So wait, there are people in this world that when they see fancy things on screen,
they feel terrible. Yeah, of course. Oh, good. Oh, you're talking about a nice car? I don't have a nice car, and I'm struggling right now. It's like, all right, you think people should stop talking about cars?
Listen, love this part of you.
I was the same way that you were when I was broke. I never got mad at somebody who was like, here's my 911 or here's my Rolex, whatever. I mean, I'd watch those. I'd be like, that's awesome. I hope I can get that. I want to work towards that.
There's still stuff I hope I can get.
Here's the thing: if you're still mad about this, just know that it's your mindset and you're thinking like a loser, but you don't have to.
You don't.
You can change the way you think, but you have to accept the way you're thinking right now is not going to get you anywhere. You're being bitter, you're being petty, you're insecure, you're not confident, and you can change that, but you have to be proactive. If you just sit around and you know what? You only have what you have because of fans, so don't talk about us like that. Yeah, but you're still a loser if you're thinking like that. So you're maybe, I'm lucky to have you as a loser fan, but you don't have to be that way. You could be a winner. You just got to change the way you think.